Welcome to Blonde Cards and Crafts. Let's make something together. Hello crafters and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be using the Happy Haunting bundle. This bundle is from Love from Lizzie, and what you see here is what you get in the bundle. You will get a stamp set. It's called the Too Cute to Spook. It's so cool. I have mine put in to these little plastic wallets and onto this 300 GSM cardstock. This is how I like to store mine once I get them. So you will get yours. This is what you'll get in a sleeve. So it's got a lovely fluffy spider, a bat, an owl, a pussycat, a ghost, a bow, and the Too Cute to Spook sentiment and peek-a-boo sentiment. So really cute Halloween stamps. There's the I Put a Spell on You stamp set, and this one has our gorgeous little witch sitting on her broom. There's an extra broom, as well as some other icons and a pot, and I just love this stamp, the I Put a Spell on You, with all the little stars around it. Really cool. We get a stencil. This is a 6x6 stencil that we get, and I love all the filigree etc. on this stencil. It's so cool. We get some pattern papers. This is a 6x6 premium collection pack of pattern papers. It's acid free, and there are 12 single-sided 220 GSM papers inside. So they all have this kind of look as if they are glitter cardstock, but they're not. It's just how they're printed. There is a shiny coating on the top, but you can stamp on it, and it really does look lovely. So there's this one. You can see the stencil type image on that with the spider webs. We have the skulls, some what look like glitter cardstock but are not. Really cool palette on these as well. Again, I love the color palette on these papers. This is one of my favorites. I love it. It's in a soft kind of a lavender and pinks, and then more of the skulls. So that's the pattern paper that we get. And then we get this. It's an ephemera bundle. There are lots of ephemera in this. I've only half in the pack. More of them are in a tray over here ready to be used. There's 2 of each icon in this, and there's just so many different ones. I'm going to put them out on here so you can have a look. We have a lovely little witch, which is on one of our stamps. Another little witch there. The cat with the hat. Some tridents, another little girl, our little ghost, spider, some little floral pieces, some brooms, poison bottle. Isn't that so cute? And loads of other icons in here for you to play with. So that's the ephemera pack. I'll leave that there as well. So we get loads in this bundles. Now there are extras. I'm just going to mention as well, this bundle is £25 and it is in stock. It is available for pre-order and will be ready to be shipped from the 19th of September. Let me see what else. There's 2 other stamp sets available. There's a DL stamp set. It's called the Happy Haunting. And there's also the Punny Bones stamp set as well that you can order and add to this bundle. The Punny Bones is £12.50 and the DL stamp set is £16. And what I'll do is I'll leave links to everything down below. So that is the Happy Haunting bundle and all the information, which again will all be down below in the description. Let's go ahead now and start crafting with it. So on my scoreboard, I have the base for card number 1, and this is going to be a double wiper card. We have lots of bits and pieces here that you can see that we'll be using to make this card. First of all, we need our main piece, and this is going to be the back of our card base. So this piece measures 10 by 6. We need to do some score lines on that, and I'm going to do that with you now. So I'm going to score this piece at 6. Just make sure that's sit in there properly. 6, 7, 8, and 9. Normally on a wiper card you would have 2 score lines, but this one is a double, so we need the extra ones. Now I'm going to go through the pattern papers that we need for this and then move on to our next layers. So I have this piece here. It measures 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. It's going to sit on the back here. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 areas here that'll need pattern paper. So I have these ones here. These pieces are 3/4 of an inch by 5 3/4. And the 4 of them are going to sit in our panels here. Now we won't put these on like so. We're going to add them once we have our layers built up, because some of these layers are going to go over each of these panels, so we want to make sure we can see the pattern paper the whole way down. So I would recommend watching this first before you actually make this card. So that's our back or our base. On the back of this is where we're going to write our message, and I have a piece of pattern paper that I'm going to embellish the back with. This piece measures 5 3/4 by 1 inch, and that'll go across the bottom at the back like so. I'll also stamp a sentiment at the back, and it's one from my stash. But on the back of these panels, we'll also need some pattern paper. And again, I have 4 of these, and they measure 3/4 of an inch by 5 3/4. So that's our main piece there. Then our next layer is this piece here. So this piece measures 8 by 4. We're going to need to score this, and I'm going to score it at 6 inches and 7 inches. So 6 and 7. We have a piece of pattern paper for this, and it measures 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, and that'll sit in here. And then our 2 little strips of pattern paper, they measure again 3/4 of an inch, and they're 3 3/4 inches long, and they'll sit here and here. Now these will actually be in this orientation on our card, but it doesn't matter where you scored or how it looks. Next then I have these pieces. This piece measures 8 by 2 1/4, and we're scoring this at again 6 and 7. Now you could score these on the other side and score at 1 and 2. I just find it easier to do it on the right hand side because I'm right-handed. So onto this I have a piece of pattern paper. This piece measures 5 3/4 by 2 inches, and it'll sit on here. And then our 2 little pieces are 3/4 of an inch by 2 inches, and they will sit in here. So that's our wiper, our double wiper card with all our pieces and panels. We'll need 2 pieces for our mechanisms. These pieces measure 1.25 inches by 3 inches long. That's for both of these. Now when they go in to our wiper mechanism and pop up, we can trim them down however much we like. Onto these we need to add 2 little marks. So I want to mark at 1 inch here, because that's the width of our panels, and then I want to measure at 1 inch here. So I'm going to measure 1 inch. So I'm just using my little scoring tool. I'll use a pencil so that you can better see what I've done. So I have here a little mark at 1 inch and a little mark at 1 inch. And that'll give us this triangle. And what I want to do now is put a score line between here and here. So I'm going to pop this into my scoreboard. You can see I have lines along my scoreboard. I find it handy for when I'm scoring. It mightn't be the best look for in videos, but I do use these lines a lot in my scoring. They do help me. So my pencil mark is lined up with this track and with this track. And once I have that done and I'm happy with it, I can then score across. This little corner piece, which I'm going to bend both ways, this is where we're going to add adhesive into our card base, and this is what will be stuck down and will give our little pop-up mechanism. So I'm going to do that on this one now as well. So now we have two pieces with our mechanism, and these can be used, you know, in any way within the card, and I'll show you how I'm going to use them later on. Next, to embellish the card, I'm going to use some of the ephemera pieces that came in the little bundle, our Happy Haunting bundle. I'm going to use the two girls, the little ghost, the bat. I have some pumpkins, and I've stamped a sentiment as well from the stamp set, Too Cute to Spook, and this is it here. I've used a die from my stash to die cut that out, and then I've gone around the edges with a grey blending brush just to give it a bit of an, you know, a kind of an awesome Halloween look, because we don't want, you know, a perfect white sunny day little cloud. We want a darkened, you know, interesting little cloud. So they're the ephemera pieces. So that's everything we need to make our card. I'm going to go ahead now and we'll assemble it together. So I've all my pieces ready now. What I'm going to do is put my large panel on the back of our card. And to do that, I'm going to use some liquid glue from my stash, and I'm going to use some Kalal glue to glue this down. So I've sped everything up now, and I'm going to glue down the skulls, and then on the back I've put the strips, including the strip on the larger piece there, so I'll be able to stamp a sentiment. I recommend you do that now. Stamp your sentiment on the back. So I can add a strip of my pattern paper on this one and on this one. So I'm going to do that now. Next, we're going to work on this piece here. This piece is going to sit on this, and it'll join up to this one. Now with this piece, we could actually shape the top of it if we want. So that's up to you. You might want to have like, you know, a seam edge on it. So you can do that if you like. But I'm quite happy to have it just straight up like so. So I'm going to stick these down first, and then I'm going to add them on. Next, I'm going to burnish the score lines. So this first one needs to be a valley, and then this second one will be a mountain. So I'm going to fold this one into a mountain first, and then this one into a valley. And I'll burnish those. So we have this shape here. And that is going to stick on here like so, and then it will stick onto this panel here. So now I can add on my pattern paper here before I stick this one down. So I'm going to do that. Just the reason I'm kind of doing this as I go along is I don't want to get it wrong. So I'm going to glue this side down to here, and then I'm going to take one of my little mechanisms and add it in, because it'll be easier to add it in at this point than to do it later when the card is assembled. But you can do it when the card is assembled, but it's just my preference to do it at this stage. So I'm going to glue this panel down, and I'm going to use my quick grab glue to do this side. So I'm just lining this up now with the edge of my card here and the bottom of my card. This will then fold flat, and when it's flat our mechanism will be behind it, but when we pull open the card our mechanism will pop up. So now we need to put our mechanism on. So our mechanism here, we're going to have it in this orientation. Our little piece is going to be here at the top corner. We're going to add some liquid glue, and I'm going to use my quick grab glue to add this on. Now you could use some double-sided tape on this if you like, but I like to add the liquid glue. So we're just putting it on this little triangle, the corner piece here, and then we're going to put this inside. So this needs to fit back like so, and it's going to sit in here. And I'm just going to make sure that this is nicely lined up with the edge here, and when it folds over it'll fold down, and then when the card is opened it'll pull up. So I'll just give that now a minute to dry in along there like so. Now I'm able to glue down this onto this panel here. So I'm going to just make a mark there with my thumb so I know how far up I need to bring my glue, and then I can add my liquid adhesive. You could use a double-sided tape again for this, but I'm just going to use my liquid glue. And I'm going to fold both of these flat down. I want to make sure everything will sit properly when it's in its closed position to fit inside my envelope. So once I have that done, I can now add this piece on. Now, because we're putting layers over the top, like this piece, you could have just put a piece of pattern paper just to come down below this if you didn't want to use a whole piece like I'm doing. But if you were coloring this in and you wanted the pattern piece to sit over the top like so, you could do it that way either. So it's up to yourself. I'm going to put this piece down now, and I'm going to use my quick grab glue. My collal glue, my collal glue. And now we can work on this piece. This is our front panel. So again, I'm going to glue these 3 pieces down, and then we'll do the same again on this. What we did with this one, we'll do with this one. So now we can fold and burnish this piece again. So again, it's a valley fold and then a mountain fold. And then we'll add a little bit of glue to the back here with our quick grab glue, and we'll glue this one into place. And again, this is going to go down into the bottom left hand corner, and it's going to meet up with the side. And then this should join over with this piece here. So when it's closed, it fits like so. But before we do that, we want to add our mechanism into this piece. And we're going to do the same thing again with our mechanism. So it's going to fit in like so. So our little corner piece is down to the right hand side, and we're lining it up with this piece along here. So it should sit in like that. So the glue will go on the back. Like so. And then we'll sit that in so our score line here and our top of our score line there meet up. And I'm bringing mine down just a little bit from the top there. So you can see it'll fold back like that. So it's not sitting along flush. So if it is a little bit crooked, you won't see it peeping up. So now I'll give that a minute to dry, and then we can fold this over and glue it on to the right hand side. So now this is glued nicely in place. We can fold it over and we can glue this down to this side here. So again, I'll just put my nail there. It's just a guideline so I'll know how far, you know, not to go too far up. So I'll put a bit of glue there now, and then I'll add some glue to along here, and that way then we can glue that into place. And again, now we'll fold this down and fold this over the top, and that should all line up nicely so it closes flat down. And we'll give that a moment now to dry. So it's all dried now, and now we can see our wipers, how they work, our mechanism. So if we pull that one up, this one comes up, and then you can see the other one comes up as well. I love this. So we have two wiper mechanisms going there. Isn't that fab? Now you could put the wiper mechanisms over onto this side along here if you like. I just thought they were cool coming up there. You could have one coming up here and then one popping up this side as well. Really, you can have the mechanisms on either side, but I just think they're super cool. So it's a matter now of embellishing our wipers and deciding what we want on where. So I think I'm going to have the wipers open, and I'm going to faff around now and decide what's going where. So you can see here I've cut down the wiper mechanism a little bit there. I want it so that when my ghost is attached, I want to make sure that when it is attached it won't be seen, and that way then when it comes up it'll shy up. So I know that I don't want it, I want my little ghost to be down behind here. So I'm going to, I can have him kind of coming up like this, but I just want to make sure that when this closes down, my little ghost won't be seen. So do your little trial and errors. What I like to do is put a little bit of glue on the back of my ghost, and I'll have a look then and see how that looks. And then if I'm not happy with it, I can move it. So the key thing is here, whatever you're having pop up when the mechanism is lying down, you don't want to see whatever is popping up. And when the mechanism comes up, then you want to be able to see it. So have a little practice, use maybe some repositionable tape, etc. And then once you're happy with where you want it to be, then you can stick it on. So you can see there he's hidden and now he's up. So I just need to miss a little bit of the, take out a little bit of that card there. So I'll remove that there like so. And then I can add my little ghost to that. So I've left in this piece now of me faffing with the ghost and adding him on. And I think really whatever you're adding onto your wiper, it's just a matter of placing it properly on the wiper So when your image is popped up, you see it, but when it's down, you can't see behind it. So you can use something to cover that up, and I do use the cloud for the lower one. So there we are, our double wiper card, and doesn't it look really good? This is made using the Happy Haunting bundle by Love from Lizzie, and I just love all the ephemera and all the sparkle. I put a little bit of Spectrum Noir around our clouds. You can see here my little witch. She's got quite a lot going on. So to cover up some of her, I used this cloud, but our ghost is well hidden behind. The back of our card then, I have wishing you a happy Halloween. I've again stamped the little ghost. There's some Spectrum Noir sparkle on him, and I just blended some grey around the outside to give it that kind of a spooky Halloween vibe. So that's our double wiper card. I hope you like it. The mechanism really does work beautifully. Let's move on now to card number 2. And now we're moving on to card number 2, and this is going to be a 6x6 bendy card. I have everything that we'll need here, and I'm going to go through it all with you now. So for my card base, I have a piece of 12x6. I've scored it at 6 inches, and that will give us a 6x6 card base. Now, this card is inspired by the wonderful Sam from Mixed Up Crafts. She has a tutorial for this, all different sizes. On her one, she doesn't use a card base at the back. She just uses a piece of cardstock and then puts a panel on the back to write the message. But I do like having a card base, so that's why I'm putting that here. Okay, so we have our card base here. Next, we have a panel to go on top of that. This panel measures 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and we'll center that on the front of the card like so. And I love this pattern paper. It looks as if it's got glitter on it, but it totally hasn't. It's fab. I've also cut out a piece of 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 white cardstock. This piece is going to go on the inside of our card base like so. Now, I have already stamped and colored in my panel, so let me go through it with you. I have a spiderweb stamp in my stash, as well as some sentiments, Halloween sentiments, or you know, that kind of style in my stash. So I used them. I stamped the little spider from the Too Cute to Spook stamp set that we got in the bundle, and the little ghost is also from that stamp set as well. I colored in my little spider. I hope you can see her there. I didn't go too dark for her. I went more with the grays, give her little pink cheeks, and you know, because I didn't want her scary, I wanted her more cute. So that'll be the inside of our panel there, all done. And you can see around the edge, I blended using a blending brush and some inks in grey as well as in black. And I wanted it to kind of have that swirling, cloudy kind of look to it. So hence I went around like this with my blending brush to get the swirls on it. So that's the inside of the card base and the back panel of our card base to the front done. Now we want some layers to go across the top. So I have one piece here, and this measures 8 by 3. We want to put some score lines in that. So I'll just get my scoring tool. So for this piece here, we need to score it at 1/2 and 1. So I'll score at 1/2 and 1 inch. And then you can either score at 7 and 7.5, or you can do what I do and simply rotate the cardstock around and do at 1/2 and 1 inch. Then we have this piece of patterned paper. It's going to sit between the score lines there, and it measures 5 3/4 by 2 3/4. And that piece is going to go in here. Now, what I recommend, if like in the last card we had straight panels for in our wiper, but if you want this to have a kind of like a rolling hills look, what I recommend you do is put your pattern paper in here between these two score lines, bring it up to the top, and then take a scissors and cut your shape. That way when you pull this down, you will have this nice little border above where you'll cut it. So I'm going to do that with you now, and then you can do it with the other two yourself if you want to do that. So I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to come around and up. And you can have these as high up or as low down as you want. So I'll go across there. Now when we pull this down, you'll see we have our little border there above it, and it matches what we've cut out. So I think that works out easier to get our shape, and that way then when we put that on our panel here, you'll see then it'll sit on like so. So these score lines here, we want to fold these in a valley fold and a mountain fold, and the same again with this one. We'll do a mountain fold and a valley fold, and these will sit on the front like so on our card, and these little tabs then will glue down, and that'll give us a bendy look then to the front of our card. Lovely. So that's one done. We've just 2 more to do. So this second piece, it measures 8 again by 2 this time, and I have a piece of pattern paper measuring 5 3/4 by 1 3/4. Again, we want to do some score lines with these, and again it's the 1/2 inch and 1 inch, rotate it, 1/2 inch, 1 inch. And again, you can do the same with this one. We can pop it into the middle there and go ahead and cut that. There's our second one, and then we have a third one. So this piece measures 8 by 1 inch, and then this piece measures 5 3/4 by 3/4 of an inch. I'm not going to cut this one. I'm just going to sit that on top like so. But again, we need to do our score lines, so we'll do it at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. And then we'll have our little panel to sit on top like so. Perfect. Okay, next I have some ephemera pieces. I've just taken out some of the ephemera pieces from the pack, and I'll use them to embellish the front of our card. I've also stamped out the I Put a Spell on You, and that's from the I Put a Spell on You stamp set here, and I just fussy cut around it, and again I colored it in with my blending brush and a grey ink. I want to have that sitting above my cauldron, so it looks as if this is coming out of the top. And finally then I have stamped this, Have a Fabulous Birthday. This stamp again is from my stash, and I've taken some nesting dies from my stash as well. They're the combo sentiment dies from Craft Stash that I used for this. I kind of thought it looked coffin-like, you know, so that's why I went with that shaped die for that. So they're all our bits. We have everything here ready to go. Let's now assemble all our parts and pieces. So I have my pattern paper glued down to my card base as well as to these layers. And now I'm going to fold over on the score lines. So I have a mountain and a valley there. And then again with this one, I'll have a mountain and a valley, and then a mountain and a valley. And then we can add these pieces in. So I'm going to add a little bit of a curve to each of these. It just helps the cardstock sit nicely when you know, the card is opened. These layers will want to kind of bow out a little bit, whereas if we left them straight, they wouldn't kind of bow out as much. So they will still fold flat when it goes in the envelope. It just means when you take it out of the envelope, it has this curved look to them, and they'll sit one on top of another like that. So let's add some liquid glue now to the tabs on each side and stick these down. So I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue. This is my Cosmic Shimmer glue. I'll put some on that, and then I'm going to glue this down to the card base. So for this piece now, I've added my liquid glue onto the little tab here at the side, and I'm lining it up with the edge of the card and the bottom of the card. And then I can fold that flat down, add a little bit of pressure. Then I'm going to take this one, I'm going to put some glue on this little tab here. And then I can add that to the other side. And I'll just bring these two up together so that I can pop that down. And again, it's joining up the edge of the card and the bottom of the card. So it will fold flat like so, but because I put a little curve in it, it'll sit up like that when the card is standing and open. So you can see there we've got a nice bend up there, but it will fold completely flat to go in our envelope. So now we'll do the other two. So with these other two layers, I'm going to do the same as what I did with the first. Add a little bit of liquid glue to the tab on the left, then the tab on the right, and the same with the front, and glue them down and they'll flatten out. So there we go. There's our 3 layers. You can see there they'll pop up or they'll flatten down into our card, into our envelope. So now it's just a matter of adding on our lovely ephemera pieces. So I want to have a fabulous day right up here. I think like that in the middle. So I'm going to speed everything up now. Our little spider, I want her silk, you know, that she hangs down on. So I'm using a black peel off. It's one of the pinstripe peel offs and it's the medium size. So I want to have that like so. So I'll faff a little bit with that. I want to be able to see the peel off, but I want my fabulous sentiment to be centered on it. So I'm happy with the position of that. I've put a little bit of foam tape behind my spider, and I'll put a little bit of glue where she then rests on that sentiment. The same with our ghost, and then it's just a matter of adding our little ephemera pieces. Now I put a spell on you. I wanted that to sit on the layer behind my cauldron. So I've put a little piece of acetate, and that is going to have it so that my it looks as if it's floating there, but it's sitting up on the acetate. So I've stuck down my little ghost, and I'm deciding where I want my 2 girls. I have this card in mind for someone. It's actually written at the moment and ready to be posted. It's for a friend of mine that I've had for many, many years and reconnected with this summer. It's her birthday next Saturday. So she has black hair, I have blonde hair, and I thought, you know, our 2 little witches, it would be very cute. So although it's not really the Halloween month, I just really wanted to send her this card. It looks like there's lots of sparkle and shine on it, but there isn't. It's just all in the pattern papers. Everything folds flat. You can see there we have a little dimension here from our foam tape and our ghost and our spider, but everything folds flat. It all then pops out nicely. You know, the layers can come out as far as the person wants when they're displaying it. But I really like that. I think it looks really cool. And then the inside we have delivering bugs and kisses, have a spooktacular day. So there we go. That is card 2, our fabulous birthday card, our Bendy card. Now we're going to move on to card number 3. So now we're moving on to card number 3, and this is our final card, and it's an Easel card. And for this you need a piece of 12 by 6 cardstock. I have scored it at 3 and at 6. We're going to fold it in half, and then we're going to fold it back on ourselves. So it looks kind of like a Z-fold card when it's like this, but I want to do an inverted Easel card. So on the front of our card, which we have folded in half, our card base, I have 2 pieces of pattern paper. These measure 2 3/4 by 5 3/4, and they'll sit on there like so. Our card will actually be in this orientation. I have a piece of purple cardstock. It's the same as my base. It measures 6 by 6. And I have this piece of pattern paper. It measures 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. It'll sit over the front like so. Now this piece of pattern paper was this light color, but I came along with 3 different inks. I used my VersaFine Clair ink. I used Nocturne. I used Twilight, and I used Monarch. And those 3 colors I blended first in the Monarch in this purple color, and I kind of came into the middle and blended right out. Then I took the Twilight color and I came out a bit from this amount here and went right out to the edge. And then I took my Nocturne and I just did around the edge with that using my blending brush, and it gives this really eerie look to this pattern paper. I love it. I'm only sorry I didn't scan this one before I used it, and that way I could have printed off more and done the blending, but I just think this is fab. I love this. So this is going to sit on the front of our card like so, and I'll move these out of the way because our card is going to fold over. This will go on here, our pattern paper on top, and when our easel opens, it'll open this way. So you'll have this shape. So you'll see it better now when I put it all together. So finally then I have a piece that'll go on the inside. And this one is a piece of white cardstock, which again I did the same blending as what I did in the pattern paper here. I've taken one of the little ephemera hats, witches hats, and put it over there. I put one of the skulls here, and I've taken the witch's broom and I have that up on 2 layers of foam tape. So this will become the stopper for our piece that will sit here like so. It'll sit up like that on the stopper. Now I was debating putting a black piece of cardstock behind that, and I think I will. Looking at the 2 here now, I think it does need another piece. So if you want to just use your cardstock like this in here, then this piece measures 5 by 5. But I'm going to cut a piece of black cardstock measuring 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 and put that inside. And then for a finish on the front of our panel here, I have some ephemera pieces. I've taken the cauldron, the skull, pumpkin, the book, and the poison. I've layered these all up on top of each other, and I have some foam tape on these pieces here. I've taken one of the little girls. I'm going to have her rising up here like this. I've done another I Put a Spell on You, and I hope you can see all the sparkle. I use Spectrum Noir on that. I'm going to have this as my sentiment, and then I'm going to have another little spider coming down over here. And again, I'll use the peel-offs to give the impression of the spider silk. So let's go ahead now and assemble everything. So I have everything sped up now, and I'm going to add the pattern paper down onto our card base. That piece will fold over, and then our front panel will sit on top. This is the black mat I was talking about. It is in the measurements that are all at the start of this card, and then we'll add our inside piece. I'm going to glue this piece of pattern paper down to this panel, and then I'm only going to add adhesive here to this panel. This is what's going to hold the front of our card on, like so, and it gives us our easel style as well. I've got my little ephemera piece that I've made up. Some of it is up on foam tape, as you can see there, and the little cauldron then gets glued straight down. So my little girl has some foam on her as well, and I'm going to put her over to the left hand side here, and then I'm going to add my little spider to the middle. I foam tape at the back of my sentiment, and then I'm going to add a bit of foam tape to the back of my spider. I'll use these gold edged black peel-offs to emulate the silk from the spider, and that is basically the front of our card panel. I just want to embellish it, so I'm going to do that using some sequins. You'll see here these sequins here are from a previous Love from Lizzie kit, and I'm just going to pull out the gold ones to pick up the gold in our peel off. I'm going to fill these sequins with some glossy accents, and I've got some very fine iridescent glitter that I'm going to fill those sequins with. I'm going to put some glossy accents as well in the cauldron and on the eyes of our spider, our little girl, our skull, our pumpkin, and the poison bottle, so it looks like glass. I'll add again some of my iridescent powder to the cauldron, so it looks as if it's bubbling with magic. So here's a closer look at the finished card, card number 3, our easel card. You can see now all the glitter and shine in the cauldron, and the shine that's on the girl's eyes, the spider's eyes, and the poison bottle, as well as the eyes on our skull and pumpkin. I've got lots of the Sparkle Noir glitter as well on our sentiment, I Put a Spell on You. And you can see there's the Too Cute to Spook on the bottom left hand corner, and I love this card. It sits up really nicely. It looks really nice. You can write your message inside the card above where our little broomstick is there, or you could just put a white panel on the back and put a sentiment and write a message on the back if you wanted. But I love this card, and I hope you like it too. And I've loved this happy haunting bundle that is available for pre-order now with Love from Lizzie, and it will become available to ship from the 19th of September. So let's have a quick look at the 3 cards. Here's card number 2 that we made, our bendy card. You can see the only bulk on this is where I have the foam tape. It pops out beautifully. I just love this, and I have made a handmade envelope for this to fit into because I wanted to put some pattern paper inside the envelope, and I did that with some skulls, no, not skulls, with some bats pattern paper I had in my stash. But I love the inside of this card and just all the dimension. This card is actually in its envelope and ready to go to its recipient. Isn't it fab? These ephemera pieces are just so cute. And then we're moving to card number 1, our double wiper card. I love this one as well. I have to say I love them all. I know I'm biased, but I do. I love our little popping up ghost and our little girl that pops up there as well. Our sentiments peekaboo and Too Cute to Spook on this as well. I just think it's brilliant. And as you pull it out, each of the wipers pop up. Lovely. Isn't that fab? I mean, who wouldn't want to get a card like that? Full of lovely, cute little Halloween things. And I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be Halloween to send a card like this to anyone. I'm sure anyone receiving it would be delighted. There's the back as well. We've that all decorated too with our spooky little cute ghost on the back. So that's it. There are 3 cards, folks. I hope you've enjoyed my video. If you have, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing. And if not, please do click on the subscribe button and click the bell. That way you'll be notified each time I post a new video. And the algorithm for YouTube likes when you do things like that. Thank you so much for watching my video. I'm going to leave you now with some images of the cards that we've made. And until next time, stay safe, take care, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.